Hey friends, so who has experienced, I don't know how to explain this, being told that your anxiety is, or other emotions, but I'm using anxiety as an example here, is something that you cannot fully understand on your own. And what I mean by that is, in the world I grew up in, which was very conservative, evangelical. And I think this also probably applies to a lot of different religious traditions. Like, I don't think this is specific to evangelicalism. It's this idea that, well, I'm going to use anxiety because this is something I've written about recently on my Substack. But this idea that if I'm feeling anxious, let's say I have to decide if I'm going to accept a job offer, and I feel a lot of anxiety about that. And the sort of messaging I would get is, one, it's Satan. Let's say the job is I'm going to be a pastor or a missionary or something. And so this anxiety I feel over accepting the job offer is Satan whispering lies in my ear, trying to convince me not to do this job because my job is going to do something great for Jesus and it's going to further the gospel. On the other side of things, I would often get another message, which is the anxiety is actually a prompting from the Holy Spirit, trying to warn me about something or protect me from something. So in this example, I guess it would be, I've been given a job offer and I feel anxiety over whether or not to accept it. And the other side of the coin of this messaging is, well, it's the Holy Spirit who knows maybe this job isn't for some like high spiritual thing. Maybe it's, I got a job offer to be a bartender, and the Holy Spirit knows that if I took that job, then I would be risking my own spiritual well-being. Maybe I would fall into sin. Maybe I would lead other people into sin, and so that anxiety could actually be a message from God. And so, like, there's this weird double standard where if you're in this universe, you don't know how to interpret the feelings in your own body. And this is where you need someone else to come in, whether it's a spiritual mentor or a pastor or a small group leader, to pray with you and talk with you and help you discern what it is that is actually happening in this situation. And to be clear, like, this isn't always a terrible thing. I think there's a lot to be said about forming community and learning how to reach out to process things in community and find people who can walk with you through big moments where you're feeling all of these feelings. But the danger is that when we teach people to outsource our decision making, or to help us understand our own feelings and our own interpretations, we are actually handing over a large amount of power to other people to influence us, or even worse, to coercively control us. So it becomes a very, very dicey thing. And I think it also, it leads to another problem I've noticed, where many of us who grew up in these kinds of conservative environments, whether or not it's like Christian or whatever it is, you don't even learn how to understand your own emotions. And so there's this big problem of us not being able to put labels on the emotions that we are feeling as they rise up, which means we are not able to fully understand ourselves. We have to lean more and more on other people to understand who we are, what we're experiencing, and what is happening in our bodies. And that can be a very dangerous place to be. So yeah, has anybody else experienced this? Whether or not you come from a Christian or evangelical background, have you experienced being in a situation where like you have to have somebody outside of yourself explain to you what you're feeling and where it comes from, and then what the next step should be? Like, is this something that you are familiar with? The double message of it's God, it's Satan, it's whatever. Yeah, let me know about it. I'd like to hear your stories.